This is Scott Becker with the Becker Business Minute, the Becker Private Equity Podcast. This is really three reasons why the markets are going up. We've seen the last couple of days, Friday and today, the markets rise really nicely, a couple percent Friday, a couple percent today. Real good days and welcome news for investors. Really three things that are driving this. Some of them are somewhat connected. First is, and most importantly, the Fed. The Fed is looking at sort of slowing down the rate increases. They've been very clear about this. Now the bet is they do a 25 basis point raise at the end of this month, the start of February, versus the 50 point raise and the 75 point raises that they were doing. So this is really welcome news to the market, as the high interest rates and the high debt levels that many companies face are really starting to choke companies. And this will sort of take some of that foot off of the neck of companies that have too much debt. It really start to slow the pressure on them. Second is the reads on inflation, which show that inflation is slowing just a little bit. You've still got really low unemployment, but you've got wage hikes going a little slower than they were going, and that's giving more confidence in the fact that the Fed will be able to keep on slowing or decelerating the rate hikes. So you got those two things that are very closely tied together, the Fed and inflation. The third thing that you see that the markets are watching is, because at the end of the day, valuations of companies, market caps are a combination of, or really a factor of two things: the earnings of companies and the interest rate environment. You know, how big are the multiples? The higher the interest rates, the lower the multiples. The Fed starting to slow the raise in rates helps on one part of that, because it then keeps multiples a little more stable versus going down. The higher the interest rates, the lower the multiples. What you've got on the other hand is companies getting more serious this year about profitability versus growth, and a huge focus there. So it's really these three things: companies focusing on profits again, as well as the Fed starting to slow the rate increases and the slowing of inflation that's leading the markets to start to take off again. We are at Becker Private Equity and Becker Business Minute so thankful for you listening. If you're the first person to listen to this podcast and you send me a text at 773-766-5322, you're not one of our listeners that listens all the time and collects these checks all the time, I will send you a $50 gift certificate, Becker Business Minute, Becker Private Equity will do so on Amazon. Thank you for listening to the Becker Business Minute, the Becker Private Equity Podcast. We are very thankful for you getting some of your business news here. Thank you very much.